Cursed by the old gods of Bethany, we are 5 immortals doomed to roam the galaxy until we complete our 1001 tasks. After centuries of having our memories dicked around, ready to complete our destiny and die. We are, for now, the Immortals. It's episode 95.
Ooh!
95, stay alive. Forever.
You guys were so close to 100.
We are so close to 10% done with this task.
That's so exciting!
It is!
And daunting.
Yeah, it's only like 100 seems like such a major milestone. Like, then we'll be syndicated, and that's a good thing, financially. But then again, we still have 901 more to go after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I assume the first 100 is the hardest.
Sure.
Right? I mean, we've been kidnapped a frequent amount. Adam's gone through psychological hell a lot.
A good amount.
Yeah, a good amount.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think we're doing okay. We're doing okay.
I think we're doing fine.
Anyhow, I'm Austin.
I'm Adam.
I'm Lee.
And I'm Pedro.
And together we are the Immortals. Every week we review the 1001 movies, albums, food, songs, children's books, and TV shows that you must consume before you die in order to break our curse that I mentioned in the beginning. Unfortunately, Sarah is not here today. Last night, she and Marion, the AI on our computer, got a little too drunk, and they're still feeling it today. And I said, "Are you going to the show?" And she said, quote, "I don't wanna." Which is what Lisa 2 weeks ago as well.
I mean, it's a good excuse.
But she'll be back perhaps later this episode or next week. We'll all find out together.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the middle of October. Time for horror movies, and we got a good one today because we are doing number 91 on all the 1001 lists, which means the movie is Bride of Frankenstein.
The album is The Velvet Underground and Nico by The Velvet Underground and Nico.
The food would be Yuzu, and we'll do that a different time.
The song is Johnny Be Good.
The children's book is Who's Seen the Scissors?
And the TV show is 7 Up, or also known as the Up series. But first, The Bride of Frankenstein.
Remove the diffuser bands. She's alive! Alive!
Bride of Frankenstein is the sequel to Frankenstein. Brought back the same director, James Whale, and Boris Karloff as the monster. Came out in 1935. This is a continuation of the Mary Shelley novel, in so that Mary Shelley even appears at the beginning to say, "This is a continuation of my novel." Mm-hmm. And it is pretty much right where we left off. The town is not thrilled with Frankenstein and is trying to kill the monster. The monster has gotten away and is on a bit of a rampage. And the solution from the monster and another peculiar scientist, who's the new character, is to not have him be alone in the world and to create a mate for him. This is another big hit for Universal after the success of Frankenstein. It went on to make many more sequels, none of which I think are as good as this one. I really like this movie. What do you guys think? Who hasn't seen it before?
I had not.
Pedro, what do you think?
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I liked it a lot, but I also felt bad the whole time.
How so?
Because it's sad. The story of Frankenstein's monster is sad.
It's true.
It never goes well for anybody. And, I mean, I was expecting something a little scarier. I was hoping maybe since it was early cinema and all that, maybe they made it like more of a horror film that was deviated from the original feeling and sentiment of the story, the book. No. So it was just very disheartening to watch. But it was very well done, and
well, see, maybe it's good you didn't catch up with the original one, because the 1931 Frankenstein movie is rather faithful to the book, especially the tone. This actually is campier. So this is the funnier version of the two movies.
Interesting.
Lee, what did you think?
I am really glad that we did a review of Young Frankenstein a couple months ago, because that is close enough to the story that it was like filling in some of the gaps for me for this movie.
So, Young Frankenstein, the Mel Brooks, Gene Wilder parody, takes a lot from, obviously, the 1931 version of Frankenstein, but obviously a lot from Bride of Frankenstein, and a little bit from Son of Frankenstein, including the entire blind man scene.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, was this not in the book?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this was just, they took this from Bride of Frankenstein and made it a lot sillier by having the blind man be more accidentally destructive to the monster who comes in.
Which is nice, because the monster's accidentally destructive, but because it doesn't know any better. And now it can share that with his friend. Well, not in this film. In this film, it's just sad.
Okay, Pedro thinks it's sad. Lee, did you enjoy watching this one? Was it a successful monster film in terms of fun and meaning?
I'm not a big monster film person. Like, most of the time, the plot's too cheesy, the monster itself is too cheesy, I just don't care. This one kind of falls into that for me. Like, it felt so campy, and not in a fun, good way for me. It just felt really campy in, like, a tiring way. Like, someone was trying to cash in on the success of the first one, and so they made a campy, crappy second one.
How did you see this as a sequel, Adam?
Well, I haven't seen the first one, so
All right.
it's a little hard to say. But I kind of agree with Lee that it doesn't seem like a really fully fleshed out movie. And I think the beginning scene cheapens all of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh no, I fucking hated that scene.
Oh, you guys are so wrong. Describe it.
Well, so Mary Shelley, the author, is hanging out with two of her friends, Lord Byron and
Her husband.
her husband. Is the other guy?
Yeah.
Poet. That's right, yeah. Other Shelley. And Lord Byron is talking about how chilling Frankenstein was. And Mary Shelley says, "Oh, but there's more, and I would love to tell you that story."
But before that part, she goes on to say, "Oh, please don't remind me of the scary story I wrote myself," or something along those lines. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I guarantee you Mary Shelley never would have said anything like that.
That's a bit fair, but it's such a fun sequence because you have the two guys who are being very boisterous, and famously, the story of Frankenstein came around when Mary Shelley and a bunch of authors were all at a dinner party, and they all had to kind of come up with a story. And hers was the best because we're talking about it now so many years later. So I just enjoyed the fact that, like, even in this circumstance, I saw it as a bit of teasing what she was doing because she doesn't stop knitting. You have Lord Byron kind of walking around being all pompous and an asshole.
She
And
was working on an embroidery.
And yeah, she's just, oh no, I still have, like, the darkest, scariest story around. I can tell it to you guys if you want. And then it's especially fun when you have the actress who played Mary Shelley ends up being the Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh,
That was neat.
Which
I
is,
like that.
it's fun because, like, they had the opening credits early on of the full cast, and it says the bride, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they can get away with it because the actress is already up there. Like, they didn't just screw over that actress.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Because at the end credits, they have the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about bookends is that when you start a movie with a bookend, it has to end with a bookend.
This one didn't.
Does
No.
it?
I honestly forgot that there wasn't a second part. No, that is weird. That they didn't go, Mary Shelley come back and like, and I nailed it again.
Yeah,
And
or
finished the embroidery.
not that maybe, but like something interesting. Like I don't know, but
Anything.
yeah, anything.
No,
Just like come back to the original characters.
No, that's true. They really should have done that.
I was fine with it.
So your critique of the scene that you guys hated was you needed more of it.
Yeah.
No, it needed to be fucking gone. Because it's not only, it doesn't make sense with the actual real life people that they're trying to portray, it doesn't really make sense for like a setup of a movie because it doesn't have the ending bookend like Adam is talking about. And then it doesn't fit the tone. It's supposed to be a horror movie that we're setting up for, and then it's like this weird little comedy thing beforehand. It didn't make sense to me.
It's, to me, kind of setting up that what you're about to see is a story. It is not true or never has been true. What is true is the people in that room, in that scene. So, like, that's fine. I'm okay with knowing that a story is fictional, but I don't know. I also don't think the rest of the movie was super worth it.
No.
I'm a big fan of this one. I like it more than the original movie, and I'm also not a big fan of the book or really like any Frankenstein movie. So this is like after Young Frankenstein, I guess my favorite Frankenstein movie. It's just, to me, it is fun and dark in a way that we just don't kind of see very often because the Frankenstein story has been played out so often that it almost doesn't mean anything anymore because you never see Victor actually, admit he's an asshole and you see the kind of mob mentality. But this one I really enjoyed because it's almost an extended third act of the original Frankenstein story. You have the monster coming out of the fire of the villagers trying to burn him alive. And you see immediately the first people he sees are the parents of the kid he accidentally killed. And then he doesn't accidentally kill them. He murders them.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, this is now the point of, like, you're seeing his morality tested in a way where, like, he tried to be civil, and you try to burn him alive. And so you killed the two villagers you're most sympathetic for, and in brutal ways. And you're watching kind of further as his morality is kind of gone. And that mixed with, you know, these campy elements. The woman running the Frankenstein house is as silly as the young Frankenstein woman.
Yes.
She's just say Frau Brucker. She's just as bizarre and screaming half her lines, and not good about bringing strangers into the house. And you don't have Victor Frankenstein being redeemed, which I enjoy.
His name's not Victor. It's Henry.
Something stupid and American.
Apologies. It's something curious, because you have this other scientist saying, you know, hey, you brought corpses back to life. I am going for a more organic, growing sea monkey method, which was very silly. I found these people in jars. You have, like, you know, a ballerina and a king and queen, and then a mermaid, which is odd because this was an experiment that went wrong with seaweed, which is like, if you're dealing with plants and now you have a half woman, half fish thing, that's weird, right?
You're questioning Bride of Frankenstein's science.
Oh, science is rock on. You have the kites and the giant ray thing. Yeah,
I think they even had test tubes at one point.
Yeah.
Beakers.
Sure. But ultimately, still, Frankenstein's a turd and doesn't go through with this idea of trying again until Batso scientist just kidnaps his wife, who should not be with him. I don't know what she sees in him, why she's doing any of this, what's going on half the time. But I don't want to spoil the ending, because that's why I like it so much as well. Because I enjoy the campy elements, I enjoy the universal horror scenes, but the idea of, spoilers, the ending of, they go through with it, they're making a bride, and, you know, she's revealed, you got the iconic hair and the white streak in it, and she's revealed to be seemingly more feral than the original monster. And she's just kind of screaming, and she is disgusted by her fate as well. And it becomes no longer an idea in the monster's eyes to be alone, but now he's like spread this damnation upon another soul, and his only idea is to kill themselves and rid the world of their existence. It's a crazy ass ending, and it just like ends like the bride is in one scene before the monster has complete regret about all they've pushed to do, and why even make his life better, because it's just bringing more horror to the world. It's dark, and I think it's morally ambiguous about whether anyone is right here. I think it's
I don't think it's ambiguous, because the opening basically spelled out what the moral theme of this is. It's, you have someone trying to play God, it's not cool, things go bad quick, you can't do that. And then the movie happens, and the same idea, theme, story happens, and then at the end he's like, yeah, actually doing this is bad. We should be dead. So, die.
I don't know, I almost feel like I wanted to see the monster try to make it work. I feel like he cast too heavy of a shadow upon himself and his essentially new species.
Well, I kind of saw it as, since the brain was homegrown, it wasn't from someone else, then it was sort of like a completely fresh idea. You said, like, she was more feral. The fact that I almost see it as they made a better version of him, where the brain is more malleable and, like, confused, but whole. And that thing is still afraid of that thing. That person that was created is still afraid of the monster. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, no, this isn't right. This isn't working. We don't work as creations. And you're an asshole, so you're sticking around and you're gonna die too.
It's true.
See, Austin, the movie that you're thinking of is Young Frankenstein.
Which I do like better, I admit. But this one, I just find it really fun. It's already a short movie. It's like 70 minutes long, and it flies by, and I think it's just...
See, I disagree. It's only 70 minutes long, but damn it, is it a long 70 minutes.
Oh, no.
Like, I looked over at the time stamp numerous times, like, okay, surely I'm almost over. Nope. That movie's so long.
It feels long in that the bride doesn't come into play, and you feel like she will or should more often, but...
Yeah, halfway through. She should have been already awake, and then they could have tried to rehabilitate her or whatever, make a match, or whatever, and then in the end, she's still just disgusted at who she is, and that's a better story. I can write this better.
I guess you guys are right. I would have liked to see them try to work out But I think the end result was still better, good, like where it should have led to eventually.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that there should have been more ups and downs and twists and turns throughout. And it kind of just felt like Frankenstein getting shit on the whole time. And then once he has a single glimmer of hope at the end, he gets shit on even more.
It was kind of a Frankenstein 2.0, where he's already established as the monster, so you don't need that build-up. And it's just havoc, 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 horror, horror, horror. Bride? No, dead.
I have seen 3 of the sequels, because TCM aired them all last year. Son of Frankenstein, it's not as good as I think the first 2, but it is have a bit more meta humor to it, and it also has the guy with like the robotic arm from Frankenstein. Turns out that was not also a creation by Mel Brooks, weirdly enough. That one did have one of the best lines of the franchise, because it is the son of Frankenstein coming to get his estate. And he talks about how much woe his family has gone through, and he just says, "It's just a disaster what my father has done to us. This is just outrageous." You know, they even think the monster is called, and then the guy in the train goes, "Frankenstein!"
That's funny.
That was good. And, ultimately, the heroes of the franchise become the village, because at any point any Frankenstein appears, they just start lighting shit on fire. Like, they set fire to their town. And even, like, at one point, I think during Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, destroy the dam outside their town to destroy any traces. Like, they know that this is going to go horribly. We're all going to get murdered. They just keep trying to destroy everything right away. Frankenstein versus the Wolfman makes no goddamn sense at all for either franchise.
Was Mary Shelley in the first one?
No.
Okay, one part that I didn't like, Victor dies in the book, right? The opening of the book
end,
is him dying and telling the story, and then at the end he dies.
Yeah.
It threw me off that she was like, "Let me tell you another story." Oh yeah,
Well,
he's alive.
They both, like, surprisingly live. Because, at that point, they dragged him out, declared him dead, like, 10 minutes, and then, like, he moves his hand, and they go, "Oh, he did not check a pulse at all." Because he starts talking, remember?
Oh, I don't remember anymore. Okay.
He's just, like, there.
But that was supposed to be the end of the story, right?
Oh,
she didn't write anything more on this.
No, this is a completely original extension.
Okay.
Kind of.
Is it based off anything?
Yeah, it's in the book. Like, the monster asks Victor Frankenstein to create a wife for him.
And then he doesn't, and then he, like, blows it all up. Like,
he does, but he doesn't, like, actually make her come to life, I believe. It's been a couple years since I've read the book.
Because, like, he searches the world for him, and he finds him, like, in the Arctic. And he goes, "I want a mate." And he goes, "Absolutely not. I'm an inconsistent asshole character." And I think they're, like, my mind, they're on the verge of making a mate, and then he tries to, like, blow them both up because he has yet another 180 moral turn.
That might be right.
I can't remember as well.
It's been a couple years.
But I think, if I remember correctly, the 1931 movie, he kind of tries to blow them both up before asking for a mate.
Gotcha.
So, but the same kind of thing of, like, I've done wrong. Because at that point, the girl died in the village, and he's an asshole. So, But I like this movie. I do. But I think it's time for hinges. I'm going to give it a 4.4.
I'll give it a 4. Wasn't that bad. It's actually pretty decent.
We have the villagers around us right now. Apologies.
I'm gonna say 2.8.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
All right, we are mixed, but it's October, so maybe you should check it out and see your opinion. This is Bride of Frankenstein. It aired on TCM last week, available many places. Look for it.
Did you know they're remaking Bride of Frankenstein?
Well,
Really?
As part of Universal's Dark Universe.
Yeah, but, like, that's not actually going to happen, right? Because, like, The Mummy bombed so horribly.
It did.
They still can't decide whether Dracula Retold is part of that universe because that bombed so horribly. They haven't had no one's asking for more of this universe.
I like the idea, but The Mummy was just okay.
Did you see it?
I did, yeah. It wasn't bad. It was just, like, not fantastic. They tried to go for a big universe too hard, too fast. So I think if they had just done the story of The Mummy and hinted at the rest of it, but, like, Dr. Jekyll is in it, it's too much.
Yeah.
Try again.
Yeah. Or don't. Anywho, now it's time for the album segment.
The album this week is The Velvet Underground and Nico by The Velvet Underground and Nico.
He comes, he's all dressed in black. He or shoes and a big straw hat. He's never early, he's always late. First thing you learn is that you always gotta wait. I'm waiting for my man. Oh, working out.
This album came out in March of 1967. It is kind of a joint effort between the Velvet Underground, Nico, and kinda Andy Warhol influence as well. If you have ever been into any sort of quote-unquote alternative store, you've probably seen the album cover, because it's just the plain white background with the banana on it and Andy Warhol underneath it. You've probably seen that album cover or t-shirt on some dirty hipster kid.
I saw it today with this in the album.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this album was kind of produced by Andy Warhol. He pretty much just gave them money to record it. He is the one who kind of supported the Velvet Underground and Nico individually. They both were also in his traveling show. That's where they kind of met. That's where they started collaborating, and that's when Andy Warhol was like, hey, why don't you guys record an album together? And that's what we got.
So I think I had heard both of them separately, obviously, and I actually only heard Nico from the Royal Tenenbaums.
Yes.
But she's excellent in that, with her 2 songs, I believe.
Yes.
This was an interesting blend because, again, I have such limited musical range, but like I really enjoyed the album a few years ago that was a collaboration between St. Vincent and David Byrne. And that actually felt like 2 artists making a dozen songs of both voices. This felt like taking turns.
Yeah, that's really what it was for the most part. Lou Reed, who you will recognize as the lead singer and also famous for the song Walk on the Wild Side, he wrote a lot of the songs. Like, all the songs were written by the Velvet Underground. It was just kind of giving Nico vocal parts.
Okay. So what did you think of what they made?
Generally, I like it. I was not familiar with the Velvet Underground. It's one of those bands that I've heard referenced a million times, but I've never sat down and actually listened to them. There's a great quote on their Wikipedia page saying that this album sold 30,000 copies, and everyone who bought those copies started a band, because that's how influential this album is, because it is incredibly experimental at a time when music was just starting to push boundaries, and we were starting to see the psychedelic music, and we were starting to see the experimental music that would later evolve into the prog rock and alt rock of the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
And that's funny because like with everything that's happened since then, this album actually feels kind of traditional. All those influences, I think, almost eclipsed how original this was, I guess.
No, I definitely agree. This album is fantastic if you enjoy experimental music. Like, I listened to it twice today, and the first time through, I loved it. It was so great, and it was different, and it kept me interested the entire time. And Lou Reed's vocals are just so unique and interesting, and I love them. And same with Nico. Hers are like, they pair really, really well. And then the second time through, I couldn't make it all the way through because it was just so different.
What year did this come out again?
This came out in 1967.
Okay, because I felt like a bit of Dylan inspiration in this. Think I'm wrong there, or?
Nope. Lou Reed, I believe, worked with Dylan for a little bit, or at least has cited him as an influence before, so.
And the songs, especially in the back half of the album, that I think were the most Dylan influenced, I thought were actually the weakest of the album. It felt like the least of their own voice, and it felt like weak Dylan to me.
I didn't mind it. The one that got me was the last song on the album, European Sun, because that's when it goes from playing with being experimental to, like, balls to the wall, let's do this, let's make noise. And that's what got me. It gets too discordant, it gets too feedbacky, it's too much for me.
It was strange, but not in a jarring way like I'm used to, I guess. It was odd to hear the song I'm Waiting for the Man, because I'd only heard the Bowie version.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed, I think early on it had kind of better lyrics. Like I enjoyed Femme Fatale and Venus and Furs. I think that was a pretty strong stretch in the beginning. Yeah, but by the time we get to the Black Angel's Death song, that lost me a little bit. And,
yeah, that's when it starts getting kind of crazy.
And I think There She Goes Again is the Dylan-esque song for me that's a bit too much.
I'll agree with you there. That one's a bit... And I think the reason why that one seems so disjointed is because the song before it, Heroin, it feels like... It just felt to me like it was a completely different genre to There She Goes Again. So I think that's what kind of got me with that. It just felt like, maybe not necessarily two different bands, but just like they should be on two different albums.
That makes sense. Do you think you're ready for Hinges, or do you have some final thoughts?
I'm ready. This is a fantastic album. If you're interested in experimental music, you've probably listened to this before, but if you're looking for something new, I definitely recommend it. I will give it 4 hinges.
I'll give it 3.8. That is The Velvet Underground and Nico by The Velvet Underground and Nico. I like when I have to take additional notes about who it is. I just know it.
So easy.
I learned that one. This will be the food segment, but Sarah, staff report from her room, says, I still don't wanna. So, we'll have some Yuzu next week. I don't even know what it is. Now it's the song segment.
Woo!
Pedro, what else we listened to this week?
We listened to Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry. Johnny Be Good is a song by Chuck Berry. Written, composed by Chuck himself. Very good, classic, everyone's heard this song. Came out in 1958. It's about a quote-unquote country boy who's illiterate, yet can play the guitar damn well. And soon he foresees that he'll be a star. He's gonna make millions off this newfangled rock and roll that's got everyone nervous. And his mama says someday he'll be in the lights because of his music and playing. This Johnny Be Good is kind of a autobiographical figure. It's a little bit of himself. I think the street that he grew up on was named Goode Drive or something like that. Johnny, probably the pianist that he played with the most. Oddly enough, not the one that recorded on this, but on many other things. And yeah, this song is amazing. It helped influence the trajectory of rock and roll, where it was going. It was a little unsettling to some folks when it came out at first, because here's this black guy who can write his own music and perform and play guitar better than anyone else, and somehow do something that's getting all the kids riled up, and the adults aren't happy. There's that Elvis guy shaking things up too. What's going on with the world? And he has the audacity to say that rock and roll can make money.
I would guess that it wasn't black adults who were upset.
No.
No. If I had to guess, I'd say white adults were upset.
Actually, the country boy who can play was supposed to be a colored boy, but he changed it to get radio airtime, which
really
makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of the best songs in any way you can measure. All the greatest songs lists, including this one. If you need any other evidence, when we sent the Voyager spacecraft out, 2 of them, in 1977, to go be our communication to the stars, we put a gold record on there with all of humanity's greatest things. Different countries, like Germany chose Bach, I think, and the United States put this song on there. That was our submission to deep space, to any alien civilizations.
I know they also had the Beatles song Across the Universe on it.
Did they?
Yep.
I didn't look. I just know that this was America's pick.
Because that was made by the Cosmos guy. Carl Sagan. This whole thing was created by him and his sort of quasi-girlfriend. It's a great radio lab about this. It's really cool.
I wish I knew more about the Voyager spacecraft. But yeah, I mean, I can say more about this song, but I don't know if I really need to back up the fact that it's an amazing song. And it's catchy as hell.
It is so catchy. And not like an annoying earworm way. It is just awesome.
Yeah.
I agree.
The only thing is, that little intro riff, actually, he took off with someone else. So that really recognizable intro wasn't quite his.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Well, I mean, Marty McFly did it first, so it
well, yeah, of course. Yeah. He did it in 1955.
Yeah. At the Achievement of the Sea Days, when Chuck Berry's cousin, Marvin, was there.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is history.
We were there.
White people created rock and roll.
Yes, of course.
At a high school dance.
Yes.
No.
Sure.
No.
No. See, Back to the Future works on different timelines. So Chuck Berry always created the song. Marty McFly stole it, created a new timeline in which he created rock and roll.
Yep.
And his parents are richer.
Yes.
I mean, if I had to believe who created rock and roll, a black musician or
Marty McFly.
Alex P. Keaton.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go with a black musician.
That was in the original timeline. And then that timeline, it was Marty McFly. Then next timeline, Donald Trump took over the world. So we're in that timeline now.
God damn it. I want to be in Biff's timeline.
That was based on Donald Trump.
Really?
Yeah, the creators said.
That's amazing.
Dystopian Biff future was Donald Trump, especially the house he lived in.
Awesome.
Is it? It's bad, actually.
Well, bad for where we're at, but awesome.
Adam, what do you think about Back to the Future? Or this song?
It's one of my favorite movies.
It's so good.
I honestly first heard this song in Back to the Future, so it's really hard for me to divorce it from that. So, like, when I first hear that guitar riff, it's like...
Can you imagine Marty McFly?
Yeah, having to hold his own and prove his worth and finally getting that audience that he so richly deserves.
No, he didn't.
I'm not actually sure where I heard this before. Like, where I heard this first.
It was definitely for me Back to the Future.
It probably was, just because of how many times I've seen it and being young, but it
At least,
may not have been.
At least Marty doesn't say, I wrote this. Me, Calvin Klein, wrote this song. He just wants to do a song he knows, and a song he's going to do a cover of it at his own band. He wasn't going to try to fool them in the 80s and say, like, I wrote this, guys. They would know. This is a famous song. So I don't think he's trying to be devious. He just accidentally changed all of time. It made him the founder of rock and roll.
I think we've taken a tangent here.
The song's really good. It's catchy as hell. It's awesome.
Hugely influential.
Yeah. What do you think, Adam and Lee?
I like this song. It is really fun, and it's one of the few rare songs that, like, I feel like I could hear every single day for the rest of my life and I won't be upset.
That's true. I guess that's the test, right? Which song would you want as your alarm clock and not turn against it?
Yeah.
Johnny B. Good would start you off in a good mood.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Johnny B. Good's such a great name, too. Like,
It is.
It rolls off the tongue.
It does. Anyone else? Anything?
No.
Henges?
Henges.
4.7.
I was going to say 4.7.
4.8.
Nice.
4.5.
That is
right.
Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry. Now,
So.
the question we've all been waiting for. No more fucking around, guys.
We're finally going to figure it out.
Who's seen the scissors?
Adam, what do you mean with such a question like that? What kind of accusations are you making?
Well, I'm not making an accusation, Austin. I'm
Oh.
saying the title of this week's children's book,
Oh, boy.
which is Who's Seen the Scissors by Fernando Krahn, probably. Krhn. He's a Chilean cartoonist who specializes, his children's books have no words in them. They are just illustrations. And Who's Seen the Scissors, I think, is one of his more famous ones. And it's about a guy who has a pair of scissors that flies away and wreaks havoc on a small town, causing a lot of chaos and destruction.
I feel you're building up this a lot. Like, the town isn't on fire by the end.
A lot of stuff happens. Like, we see what it does, but we don't see the repercussions of the scissors meddling.
We see people's eyebrows get raised, but we don't stick around to see them go through therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, it's like, flying scissors is terrifying.
Yeah.
That would be a frightful scenario. So it basically goes around cutting people's ties and suspenders. It goes to the circus and cuts the tightrope.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like the repetition of just every page it was cutting something. I actually laughed out loud when I was reading this because it's just really, really funny how...
This is like 20 pages long.
I know, but it just flies around cutting things. I loved it. I love this book.
Have you slept this week?
A little too much, maybe.
Oh, boy. I mean, it's really charming. It's kind of funny when I was like testing out the ebook to make sure the pages were all there. I finished the book by accident. It's fun. It is creative. It has that world that just is like a great cartoon. You get it right away.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the scissors is the only source of color in this kind of sepia world makes it even more of an amusing standout that feels like it has motion in a different kind of way. But that's all I can say about this. This is a borderline flip book. It is perfectly likable. I don't think it should be on this list, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's solid.
You don't think the fact that there are no words is something that's, like, of note enough to be on this list?
It is true. I think that it creates a universal appeal to it. I think it also created a momentum to the story that was fun and added to the silliness. I think words would have made it worse if you had Mr. Smith exclaim, "Who's seen my scissors?" over and over again.
That would be kind of funny.
What?
Well, no, it was just people going, "Oh, every single time."
It's not like really just like standard prose. It's just, whoa, oh, yeah.
What?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, I admitted that.
Okay. Lee, what do you think?
I thought this was so super charming. Like, after the first couple pages, I was like, I want all of these prints to hang on my wall. They're so cute and they're so charming. They're so well illustrated. I loved it. I thought it was adorable.
Now, Lee, what is your relationship with scissors?
I have a lot of them.
Why?
I craft. You tend to collect things. Scissors tend to be my thing.
How many scissors do you think you have on the ship?
Well, I'm missing 2 pair, but I think I have probably 10 or 12 pairs of scissors.
That's a lot of scissors.
I see 4 pair right now.
That's just in your captain's quarters.
Yep, that I can see.
Okay. I don't have that many scissors.
I like...
Pedro, how many scissors do you have?
3, 4, 2.
3, 4, or 2?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to talk about this book.
I think Pedro's reading it right now.
I'm borrowing it.
He's going to borrow it. Do you want to wait for him to finish it?
We'll come back to him. Let's henge this up.
I'm going to say 4.1. I think it's joyful.
I'll give it 3.
I'll give it a 4. I want all of these pictures as wallpaper.
All right, that is Who's Seen the Scissors by Fernando...
Crayon.
Fernando Crayon.
Mm-hmm.
Nailed it. And Pedro will be back in about 5 minutes with his review.
Just bust in.
No.
Just begin
I'm
talking.
going to monologue by myself, so you might as well just wait. Because I'm reviewing the Up series.
I don't want to answer those kind of questions.
37 years. Gone extremely quickly. We've just grown together.
I don't think you really notice it. I mean, you still think you're the same. It's when you pull a muscle, that just reminds you that you're getting older. I always liked older people as I was growing up, funny enough.
My ambition as a scientist is to be more famous for doing science than for being in this film, but unfortunately, Michael, it's not going to happen.
The Up series is a masterpiece of documentary storytelling. I don't know if this is actually a TV show. I always saw it as a series of movies, but who cares, because I get to talk about them now. This all began in the 60s when a British television station decided to do a small piece interviewing a number of children of different upbringings and socioeconomic backgrounds, and they're all 7 years old, because I think it was Churchill or someone said, show me a child of 7 and I'll show you the England of tomorrow. And they basically wanted to just interview children of 7 and ask them their thoughts on everything. And it was a cute little piece, and it was actually really well done and well edited, because they got like 15 kids that just spoke their mind as they're asked questions about, what do you think of school? What do you think of poor kids? What do you think of rich kids? What do you think of different races? What do you like to do? What are you excited about? What school do you want to go to? What do you want to be when you grow up? And they asked all these questions, and it was just a really charming piece because they captured really impressive moments between all these children, especially when they all played together in the same area. Then someone who worked on the film, Michael Apted, decided to follow up with these exact children every 7 years. So they made, we're just called 7 plus 7. Then it becomes 21 up, 28 up, and so on. And it's been doing this now for over 50 years. So in these films, you are reminded about who they were then and what they kind of become now. And it's still the same format where it just simply asks them about how they see the world. And it's beautiful and it's awesome. And I mean, it's the greatest documentation of humanity because you really get to see these people grow up. They weren't looking for fame, and Some of them don't agree to be on every installment. But there are some stories that are just absolutely tragic and like just break my heart. So I was like rewatching some of these. I saw them as a hopeful 7-year-old knowing what hardships are to come for them. But also like there's such a complete love in this series that you are just amazed by how fairly it's presented because they only talk to the subjects. I think maybe some wives going on. I haven't rewatched some of the later ones yet. But there is no talking to moms in the beginnings. It's not like other people telling what these kids are. It's the kids all speaking of who they are themselves. And it's just so wonderful. And it's so lovely to see them succeed and age and struggle and find new meaning and excitement. It's just the best. It's just one of the best things ever done in documentary filmmaking. And it is wonderful. So I adore the series. And we'll keep watching until I don't know my 7 timetables that well, but 99 up or whatever. I love it. You should all check it out.
I have a question.
Yep.
Has anyone died?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Of the main subjects.
Yeah, we're up to 63 up now. So I think maybe we're going to get to some... I'm more worried about Michael Apted dying because he's the filmmaker who's been with them now and is a close friend to like all of them. Checks on all of them, especially the ones who need checking in more. I'm avoiding spoilers for people's lives. Yeah, no one's died. And I love the series. It's basically, Boyhood is the shortened version of this. And I highly recommend this. And this is a 5 for me. 5 henges.
The fuck?
What?
The scissors.
All right, now we're back to Who's Seen the Scissors? Pedro.
Are there any words in this?
No.
What the fuck you talk? We just did
I didn't listen to it. I was trying to figure out how to read Who's Seen the Scissors.
So wait, you finished it.
I did.
And your first question after finishing the entirety of the book is, are there any words in it?
You told me not to interrupt. I was going to do what Adam suggested, but anyway.
So wait, you heard that part?
Yes, I heard that part. It was about me.
So what did you think of Who's Seen the Scissors, Pedro?
It's adorable and horrifying.
Horrifying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a world of metal chaos.
It's just kind of flying through, cutting things left and right. The chariot driver guy, all of a sudden, doesn't have control of his horses. What if something were to go wrong?
And that was like the first thing that happened?
That was the very first thing that happened. Shortly after, the guy's newspaper, the girl's hair, how long has she been growing that hair for? And then the dog's leash, that dog could have run into a stray chariot that couldn't be controlled.
You fuckers.
It cut the tail feathers off a bird. How is it supposed to steer?
You fuckers found more horror in this than Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes! Because this is horror that is understated and a little bit off camera.
He cut a tightrope. Jesus, dude. There was no safety net under that tightrope.
That too.
He threw a woman into a burning building in Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, because he was being harassed. This is just a rogue pair of scissors. Like, this is a Stephen King villain.
And there was better acting in the book than in...
Fuck.
That's also true.
No, Karloff's great.
All that aside, it was really fun, and the prints were really well done. I do like how the scissors were the only color item, and how most of the scenes were tied together by the previous person. Yeah, fun little book. But also, quite disturbing if you think about it.
How many henges do you give it?
About 4.
About 4?
4.
Right around 4.
Right around 4 in that it's 4.
Yes.
Great. All right. That's it. That's episode 95.
Yay!
We did it again, guys.
We did it.
It is complete.
All right, Pedro, you know what? Since Sarah is drunk with Marion, can Marion get drunk? R-A-I?
Sure.
What?
She just needs to, turn on her drunk circuits.
Was there a thing?
You made drunk circuits?
Of course I did.
Okay.
Oh,
We're
the idiot.
She can choose how much she wants to get drunk, and she kicks it off incrementally by drinking more. It's basically the real thing.
What? You didn't program a hangover, did you?
I did.
What? Why?
Why not? She's alive. She deserves to have all the fun that we'd have as well.
Do you think hangovers are fun?
They can be.
How?
I don't know.
Christ. Okay, never mind. Pedro's lost this. Lee, pick a new number for us.
How about 61?
All right, 61. Everyone look up what the next entries are. Oh!
Little Richard! Sorry.
What song by Little Richard?
Tutti Frutti.
Nice. The movie is, continuing with our horror theme, M. Just the letter M.
The children's book is Moomin, Mimble, and Little My by Tove Jensen.
We got another Moomin book.
Yeah.
Yay, Moomins! The album is Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys.
That's an album I know, which means it's a big one. The food will be Dooku.
Like the Count?
I think exactly like the Count.
Perfect.
Yep.
We're eating the Count.
We're eating Count Dooku.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Christopher Lee.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And the TV show is Dr. Kildare, one of the earliest medical dramas. So, go on over to theartofmore.com. Tell us your thoughts on Bride of Frankenstein, if it's positive. If not, talk about the other stuff, like Johnny Be Good. That's a good one. Or the Up series. It's even better. Also, while you're there, you can check out the other podcasts, including Let's Take 5. We had a wrap-up episode yesterday where we finished up our Andrei Tarkovsky 5. And I'm not actually sure what's coming out tomorrow. Either it's going to be a fun horror-based bonus episode, or it might be the beginning of our next 5, which would have been announced in the last episode. I can tell you it's Gene Kelly. So check that out now. Also, you can check out the new episode of Ad Absurdum, where the pop culture legal team talked about Inception and other stuff. Like, we're on Twitter at the Immortals Pod. Lee is holding up the tweets there and doing a great job. Also, you can email us at theimmortals@theartofmore.com. And Adam, we can find your brilliant sound stuff on the internet.
Songsbyalord.com.
And also special thanks to our new editor, Rook. And yeah, that's it for episode 95. We'll be back next week with episode 96. Holy crap, we're at 96. We've got some cool stuff, including M, which I believe is on Filmstruck. I don't know, check it out. It's fun and creepy. Mostly creepy. Bye, everyone. I'm Austin.
I'm Adam.
I'm Lee.
I'm Pedro.
You guys nail it.
Yeah.
All right, catch you next, everyone. Bye.